Hello, everybody. Spirit 420 here because everything I do is so damn 420. And go ahead and put this banner up. Tonight is a flick dick investigation. I'm also wanted to show you this new book I got. It is it's called The Panda, the Cat, and the Dreadful Teddy, a Parody. And as you can imagine, I mean, I had to share it considering I'm going to be reading this soon, but I had to read it because it's quite hysterical. And just like any good parody, it still carries many of the same messages that both the boy, the mole, the horse, or the fox and the horse, as well as the panda and the big panda, tiny dragon, which are the two books that it's parodying, right? If that's a word. And I got to tell you, it's hysterical. And it's actually longer than either one of those books. It's the longest one of any of them. And it's really funny. And the guy's name is Paul Mars. And as he tells you, the G is silent. See? So M-A-G-R-S. How else would you pronounce that other than R's if the G is silent? So anyway, that'll be coming up soon. Something that I'm going to share. Tonight is just going to be a quick little investigation on a new movie that came out on Netflix this past week, maybe 2 weeks ago or something. It just came out this year. So, and wouldn't you know it, but right off the bat this year, we get a nice, good racial comedy. And so I'm going to start off by saying I'm neither Jewish nor African American. But my wife is part African, part Asian, part European, and I'm part Native American, Cherokee Blackfoot. I'm also Scotch-Irish, but that's another story. My only point is, my views are quite diverse, and so I'm going to investigate this movie, but try not to think of me as your typical white boy. Let's just put it that way. And you don't know my whole life, but I have spent a lot of time with a lot of different groups of people, from Mexicans to African Americans to Oriental folks. And when I say spend time with them, I mean, hanging out in their homes and being friends with these other groups of people. And that gives you a different perspective. And I say that because watching this movie, it was cute and funny in a lot of moments, but it was also it was eye-opening because it was co-written by a Jewish dude and a black dude, right? So you have those point of views, but to me that's just one Jewish dude and that's just one black dude, and they are speaking from the LA point of view, right? I grew up in Atlanta. I mean, that's a whole different society, a whole different meat and potatoes. I'm just telling you, LA and Atlanta are two different worlds. And particularly too, they were two pretty extreme versions, which I get makes good comedy. Don't get me wrong. Because you had the black family was like from the ghetto, from Watts, part of LA, and the Jewish family is like, pretty fucking well off. Let's just put it that way. They have some pretty decent jobs, right? So, and the cultural differences are, let's just say it was a comedy waiting to happen. And I mean, no disrespect to that, but I'm surprised. And they, maybe I missed it, but I'm surprised that somebody hasn't already done it before. What I will say is, first of all, it was nice to see a few people. Julia Louis-Dreyfus showed up. Eddie Murphy showed up. So the two main, I can't remember her name. The main girl, female, is Lauren London. She played the African-American female. And then, of course, Jonah Hill played the Jewish dude, right? He was funny. Let me say, and when I say he was funny, I'm not talking about in the way that Jonah Hill is normally funny. Whoever picked this fucking hairstyle, oh my God. I had a hard time taking anything he said serious. It was funny. My wife was like, maybe he's representative of the, stereotypical Jewish American in LA. And I'm like, maybe, but I don't know. But the hair was horrible. No offense. I could have done without Jonah's hair. Her hair was beautiful. Eddie's hair was fine. Everybody else's hair is back. Like in the entire film, everybody's hair was fine. Rhea Perlman showed up, by the way. I thought that was funny. So the father is played by Eddie Murphy, and that's perfect. And the mother, the Jewish mother, is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, right? So, I mean, you had some real talent here. And the director, I can't remember what he directed right off the bat, but I know that this guy's not a newcomer. He's not new. I think he was part of one of the barbershops and some other pretty good, decent movies. And that was the director. He was also the co-writer with Jonah. So Jonah starred and co-wrote, and then this other dude directed and co-wrote, right? And I think they both had to do with producing it as well. And then the other parents were Nia Long, which was funny to see her. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen her in many other movies, but like I've seen Friday so many times, it's stupid. So to see her in this, it was kind of a bit of a culture shock for me because she has gained a few years. Eddie looks like he hasn't gained a fucking year. That dude is magic, man. I don't get it. My wife even said, what the fuck, dude? He looks the same. Like he doesn't look like he's aged over the last like 20 years, hardly. However, Julia has gotten older. And then David Duchovny was the other one. Now, what's funny is David and Mia were like third string supporting roles. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but let me explain. The stars were the lovers, right? And then the next two really big stars were their parents, the father on her side and the mother on his side, which is too convenient. I mean, I guess it would have been cliche to have it be, the father on there, whatever. But either way, it was almost purple, or how do I say it? What's the word? You could have literally cut David and Nia, you could have cut them out, their scenes altogether, and it wouldn't hurt the film whatsoever, simply because they didn't really bring a whole lot to the table other than the fact that it showed that their parents had, that both of these kids getting married had parents who were married. Make sense? So, I for one, I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe both the writers actually have parents that stay together. I know most people, when I say most people, I mean, it's just the reality. The divorce rate is what it is. Most people know divorced parents versus parents together. So I thought it was funny that, to me, it was a little too perfect. It would have been more, in my opinion, realistic had one of the sides had split parents. Quite frankly, maybe even split parents where one of them was gay. I know I've made fun of that, but that's just the reality of the world that I live in, right? Regardless, there was some other things that were touched by the film. There was a conversation between Jonah Hill and I don't know her name, but she played Jonah Hill's podcast partner and pretty much best friend. And it was funny because even Jonah got upset about it. And I'm not trying to tackle racism in America. Okay, please. I'm just giving this movie an investigation from my viewpoint, right? But it bothered me a little bit that they chose to write a scene where, they discuss that blacks and whites can never mix. And I just find that on either side, whether you're black or white, if you think that, then what's the fucking point of even trying? If you truly believe that, if you believe that there's no point and it can never get there, then I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. That's not my belief because I have already lived a different life. Now, will I ever understand what it's like to be a black person in America? No, absolutely not. I'm not even fucking trying to say that. But you know what? On that same token, is any black person ever going to know what it's like to be me? No, we can't know each other's lives. I might be white privilege. I am not denying that. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, until you walk in anybody else's shoes, you don't know what it is. You really don't. And that the movie did bring that up, a great deal. But again, it was. And here's what's funny: even though they said that, I thought this part was good because I thought they were going to end it where, it didn't happen. Let's just say they worked through that statement, but that statement came at about probably more than the halfway point. So it was pretty abrupt, put it that way. So as I said, I will keep it short tonight. I thought it would be funny to at least read a couple excerpts from this, the Pat the Cat and the Dreadful Teddy, a parody. Just to give you an idea, listening is better than talking, isn't it, Panda? Shut the fuck up then, you little twerp. I mean, I'm just giving you an idea, right? One of my favorites. Well, I don't want to give that away because that would be like a spoiler. Let's see. I'll just give maybe two more. Just trying to find the right two. Okay. So I thought this was funny. You've got to recognize how much this looks like even the handwriting is changed on this one particular one, and it's really made to look like the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse. Like bloody long winter. That's it. Just bloody long winter, comma, this, ... You haven't got a fucking clue. All right. So I will be bringing that one back to you, lovely folks, soon. I think you'll find a few good laughs. And like I said, once you read the whole thing, just like any true good parody, and you think of all the great parodies that you love, if it's truly a great parody, the same message is that it's, that it is a parody of is still present, but just in a much, harsher, many times much more comical, in your face kind of way, right? But my wife packed me two bowls, so I feel it's only fair to smoke at least 1.5 of them with you folks. She packed that one harsh, I swear. I will blame her, not myself. Why should I take blame for my wife's actions? You tell me. I don't know if I've smoked from this one before, but this one's called Screened. And it's, it's not like we really try to come up with extremely crazy names. We try to come up with names so we would remember them and they remind us of the bowl. And this one's just obvious because it's one of the few bowls that actually has a built-in screen blown into the bowl, which is really cool, I have to tell you. It's turned out to be, at first I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. How clogged is it going to get? Blah, blah, blah. Is it going to actually catch it, or am I still going to get a bunch of Scooby snacks? So all I can tell you is 90% of the time it smokes really well. It's got a nice deep bowl, so it smokes long. It's one of those ones we call the everlasting bowl, because every time you think you're done, there's just another fucking hit in there. So there's no way in God's good green earth that I'm going to finish this bowl today or tonight. But to wrap up the investigation of you people, first of all, I'll say this. I meant to do this last time and I forgot. So I forgot the last couple of times, right? But I was just going to give you some other scores. That way you kind of have an idea of what other people are saying. So IMDb gives it a 5.6. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 43%. IGN, which I think is odd, but that's IGN. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, I believe IGN is like the gamer community, right? IGN, if I'm almost positive, stands for like games and something like that. But it's part of the gaming community, I'm pretty sure. Nonetheless, yeah, they gave it an 8 out of 10. So you can clearly see that some of the bigger, more predictable places are not necessarily giving this movie some good scores. Oh, let me say this before I give. So Google gives it 71%, which is like, well over a 7 out of 10. So you got Google and IGN at a collective 7.5, but then you got IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes collectively about a 5. So that's a pretty decent spread, if you ask me. I watched it, and right off the bat, it's funny because I usually try not to read the reviews or look at any reviews before I watch a film. But I ended up seeing the IMDb, and I was like, yeah, well, we'll see. I take them with a grain of salt. Just even if I do see them, I don't use them to judge whether or not I'm going to enjoy the movie. And I'll tell you right away, I remember looking at the score, and I was like, yeah, because I watched the preview and then saw the score. And I was like, whatever. I definitely feel that it was better than a 5.6. I had my issues with his hair. That's how bad his fucking hair was. But minus the hair, I thought that the overall story, the acting, for the most part, the writing was pretty good and not always predictable. But overall, I will give it, I'll give it a little bit more than even Google, because what was in my head is a 72. It's definitely worth watching. If it was in the theaters, it would even be worth paying for in the theaters. But the beautiful thing is it's on Netflix, and you can watch it for the price of a Netflix month. And it is well worth it if you have Netflix to throw that on for an hour and 40 minutes, which I think is about how long it lasted. There was some cool things. I will say this just to add to it. I really liked, in part, the cinematography and the editing were very, I thought, unique and original, and really liked what the director and the editor did there. So kudos on that too. The scene changes were not always anything special, but they were fun to watch. It definitely got the feeling like this guy's done some music videos in the past before he got into directing film. Just my personal take. So, to blaze or not to blaze, there is no question. There is only to get high, to get by another day in this world. Each and every one of you are awesome, incredible people. Excuse me. I love you. Oh my gosh. It just wouldn't stop. No, it wouldn't. But, I meant to show you this. This is kind of cool. So I got a new bracelet because I lost the one that I had gotten. That was a little upsetting. But since I think the last show I lost the one that I used to wear that held a little bit of Skylar's ashes, but this one does too. And I'm going to get this one. I'm taking it to a local guy here that's going to get it engraved. So I think that's a much heavier duty. I feel like probably a better chance in me holding on to this one. So with that, each and every one of you are awesome, incredible, unique people. Whatever it is that everybody else has picked on you for your whole life, or if there is anything that you've been picked on or anything that you've picked on yourself your whole life, I promise you, take another look at it, because it's your gift, and take it and run with it and see how far you can go. I love all of you. Have a great evening. Have a great day. Tomorrow, I will be back on tomorrow, because today is the 31st and tomorrow is what? Boom. That's right. It's the 1st. So I'll be back on again tomorrow, and see you then. Peace.
You can't have my phone number unless we running up the digits. Let me meditate, I just need a couple minutes. Tryna low bump me, my cojones to the big ass. Bitch, I get high. I ain't looking at the clock.